New Year's Dash week can sometimes be a bit quiet, but not this year. We will have plenty of news regarding factions, new matches to talk about, alliances. Plus, we'll hear more about Jeremy's time in Japan, talk about some of the other shows that went on during Big Fight Week over in Tokyo. The fallout from Wrestle Kingdom 20 continues. With Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway. This is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome, everyone, to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jeremy, welcome back home.
Hello. I'm very excited to be sitting in my chair with my normal view, with a pet companion next to me, ready to talk some New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, I missed the Dash. I didn't watch it live, but, man, that was a breath of fresh air.
It was a good show, wasn't it? And it had some real significance. And I will say that there hasn't been a whole lot of significance except for maybe a champion getting pinned in a tag match and having a challenge come out of it for the last 2 years. But this one felt more significant than most, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to give it too much importance because it was just one show.
Yeah.
But I got a distinct sense of the mission statement out of the show of what 2026 was going to be like. And what I've always liked in comic books is when they do an issue of something, and then at the very end of it, they give you like a page of what's to come in the next year, and just like a panel, and you just see like an image here and an image there, and it kind of paints a picture of what you're going to go for along for the ride with the next year if you commit to it. And I kind of, when I was watching this show, that's what it felt like to me. It was like I was getting hints of a little paintbrush of what the next year was going to be like.
Well, very cool. And we're very happy to have you back. And I hope you had a good birthday as well, by the way. Jeremy's birthday fell a couple of days ago. And so both of us celebrating birthdays within the last week and having Wrestle Kingdom and Dash going on. And man, I just watched a ton of wrestling. I got almost all of it. I didn't watch the DDT show because you went to it. Okay. I figured we would get word on that a little bit today. But
oh, you want me to recap that show? Oh, God. Okay, I got to pull up the cage match for that one.
just some general thoughts is really what I'm talking about. And we'll get to all that down the road.
But I'm still going to need the cage match for the name.
No, I understand. And USVA guy is here. He says, it's too early for this. It's still 7:30 a.m. in Tokyo. He's still over there across the pond. Jeremy
He's there for like a week more or something.
Yeah. Reeves 117 is here. He says, happy to finally be listening live again. We're glad you are as well. Still recovering up from staying up until 6 for our first live Wrestle Kingdom after always watching on delay. I'm glad you made it. I needed some good, strong coffee in my bag of chips to make it through it, but I did. But yeah, I was starting to feel a little bit more normal by the time Dash came around, and I did watch Dash, and I was very happy with it. We're going to break that whole card down. Then we're going to be talking about some of the matches that came out of all that, and a whole slew of stuff with our new IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Yota Tsuji, and I use those words very carefully because he is indeed the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. The World Heavyweight title has been merged into the old. We'll get into all that, but
lineage.
Good news, yes, good lineage news. I think
good belt talk. I am one of those people that really don't care about all the belts in the world, but there are some belts that just kind of have a little bit extra shine, just have a little bit extra, like, if that belt's just cool looking, and that belt is one of the all-timers.
It's never been the physical belt for me. I've never really cared about the physical belt. To me, it's what it represents, the lineage, because to me, I know everybody goes nuts for Big Goldie in the old Ric Flair's NWA World title.
Right.
My favorite one was Harley Race's one, the one before that wasn't as ornate and things. But that, when I picture the NWA title, I picture that's the whole thing. I'm just saying it's all about what the championship means, not the belt. Belts are cool, but I don't really worry about which design they use. But I do care about lineages.
I jumped on Top Rope Nation because they wanted a recap of my time. So check out episode 406 of Top Rope Nation for just an hour of me just talking about whatever they asked me about, and I will recap whatever you guys want here for the next couple of weeks. as far as I care. I'll just recap it over and over and over again.
Okay.
But
I guess we're gonna be on that show again at some point, I think, right?
yeah, we're gonna record an episode about some matches in 1996. But you know what I have next to me, Steven, is a bag of crap that was all from Tanahashi's day. Do you guys want to see that stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. And Jeremy Orr, by the way, we're going to get to that summit. We are absolutely going to talk about that. Jeremy has some pictures, so we're going to be talking about that too.
All right, so this is the Wrestle Kingdom program.
Yeah.
This is for purchase at the arena and at the Tokon shop for the entirety of the week. I think they made millions of these because there were a lot of people in the area.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is a full color, very slick, glossy, high quality produced product. Those
very nice, very nice.
I have mine from last year, and I love it. It's a really cool.
Slightly banged up from the trip, but nonetheless, very happy.
It happens.
This is the official thank you Tana rally sheet that was laying at my chair for the event. What you can see in there are tiny images of Tanahashi matches and moments that make up this entire thing as a collage.
Oh wow! So that's a photo collage that we're looking at.
Yeah, it's you can see.
Oh yeah,
what you get in there.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, for the folks that are listening to this as a podcast, obviously you can't. But they the entire thing that he's holding up, it's a sheet of paper.
That lens is fantastic. Damn.
It is. Yeah. The entire thing is a collage of tiny little photos from Tanahashi wrestling. That's very neat.
Yeah.
It says "Thank you, Tana" on it with the lion mark in the middle. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was pretty cool. This was a folder for being in the lower level of the Noah show, which has Ozawa and Yoshiaki and Amura.
Yeah, the main eventers.
And you just have some advertisements and some liners inside, but very fancy, very nice. I'm very much into that. This was a copy of the newspaper from Tokyo that was put into the bag along with other items for where I was sitting there.
Very nice. Very nice. It's a full color newspaper spread on Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Just celebrating his day. Let's see here. What else do I have? I got the pro wrestling, the weekly pro wrestling in Japan.
Yeah, we got Saya Kamatani and the President Tanahashi there on the cover. He's in a suit and she's in her gear. But yeah, that's weekly pro wrestling, folks. It's hard to imagine here in the States, but it shows up at all the newsstands. You can get that thing all over the place. It is a full color, slick magazine that comes out every single week. It's not the only one either. Tokyo Sports has a nice publication that's weekly, and that's Weekly Pro Wrestling right there with the calendar.
Ozawa represents January. Kento Miyahara is February.
Yeah, see, they spread it around.
Ryoya Tanaka is March. Sayaka Kurara is April.
There you go.
Yuga Uemura is May.
Hey, we got a New Japan guy in there.
Kaise Takechi, which was the star of the DDT show and also appeared in the Rambo, is June.
Barely
appeared. The Rampage. This is Sari and Konosuke Takeshita are July and August. We've got Miko Ano and Doki for September and October.
I'm just seeing stars all the time.
Jun Sato and Saya Kamatani for November and December. And then
Phoenix Queen is dead. There you go.
What else we got here? Ooh, yeah, I got my ticket for Noah. I've got my ticket from Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh,
the actual physical ticket that they gave me.
Yeah, I have mine somewhere around here.
And what else do I got here? I got my DDT ticket, and I have this Hiroshi Tanahashi printed autograph card for shopping.
Can you tilt that a little bit? We got a lot of glare.
I'm getting there.
There we got it. All right, there we go. Now we can see. So this is it's an autographed full color photo of Tanahashi and his gear with the date on it for the folks that are listening to this. Now, where did you buy that, or was that part of
that? Would come with every time you made a purchase at the Tokon shop the past weekend.
Okay,
and then I have clothes that I'll show off. I went to Howman, which was a specialty shop near Shibuya. Went to the Tokon shop multiple times. There was a G store shelving area in Akihabara that I managed to pick up stuff. I have
You made it to Pile Driver, at least in Harajuku.
I made it to Pile Driver, and I got a Minoru Suzuki shirt. He was there. I thought about getting a photo with him, but it was just a head nod.
Just a head nod. That's all you don't look him in the eye. Remember the rules. Don't look him in the eye. Now, did you notice that across the hall from that is Yuji Nagata's store?
Yes, he was there. They were actually trying to direct me over and say Blue Justice. I'm like, I know. What up, Blue Justice?
That's too funny.
Good luck next week.
Eternal rivals, those two. Eternal rivals.
Always across the aisle. They had very different approaches to their shops.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do.
Suzuki's shop was very curated and clean and organized. And Nagato's was the Akihabara style, like, here's a bunch of crap against the wall. And what do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Much more like a Don Quixote than a sleek American style store like Minoru's.
Yeah. So I also got this.
But they're seriously, folks. Their stores. It's funny because of course Suzuki and Nagata historically, hate each other, and they had the tag team where they didn't get along and all that stuff. Their stores are 10 feet from each other, directly facing each other.
They're literally eye to eye all the time.
Which means that these guys just hang out all the time and are close friends.
It's cute. It's cute. This is the shop I was talking about that I went to.
Okay. Yeah, that's very cool. Got a lucha mask on it there, printed on it.
It's a very high-end shop. I guess Willow Nightingale and Kenny Omega were there both before and after I managed to pop in there with my friend. So I felt very cool, and I bought a hoodie from them, and I love the hoodie.
Now Jeremy has a question for Jeremy, and I guess me too, because I was over there a couple times last year. He asks, what do Japanese fans think of American wrestling? Did you pick up anything about that?
I think it's very much like a wrestling community mindset there. Like, just be cool. If you're there for the show, welcome. Enjoy it alongside with us, but don't be the star of the show. Don't make a scene. Like, be exactly like they are wrestling fans, and they're just going to be like, hey, welcome, cool.
Well, I think he's wondering what Japanese fans think of American wrestling, not just American wrestling fans.
Oh, I thought they were talking about American wrestling fans.
No, what do they think of AEW and WWE and all that? My impression when I was there was that it's similar to the reverse over here, is that the hardcore fans pay attention to it and work hard to find it on the internet and follow it, but it's not part of mainstream culture over there much at all. And
not even. Okay, no. There was not a single WWE presence that I saw anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't
anywhere whatsoever. AEW was only in wherever you saw something with New Japan already present. There's no presence whatsoever. Like, it's nothing.
I saw some Bullet Club stuff that wasn't New Japan Bullet Club. I did see some of that when I was there. I don't remember if it was specific to a particular wrestler, but it was Bullet Club merch that wasn't traditional New Japan Bullet Club
like
merch.
That.
So, yeah, it's not. It's among the hardcores out there in Japan. There are certainly Japanese fans that are wrestling nerds like we are that follow CMLL and they follow everything, right? But it gets to that level. It doesn't have a mainstream presence at Stardom. Absolutely nothing. When I've been to All Japan, absolutely nothing. So it's well underground.
The best way I can put it is when I went to that specialty shop, it wasn't about a faction or anything like that. It was either about the Lion Mark or it was about like Shingo Takagi. They had a feature collection of T-shirts featuring him as a profiled wrestler or something like that. But it wasn't like, oh, let's do a United Empire thing. It would be a Great Khan curated thing. It was a wrestler, not a faction. They were identifying that way nowadays.
Tudo-Okan, different than Tokan Shop. Tudo-Okan, which is the mega store that has everything in the world going back. It's Valhalla for wrestling fans. That one has American stuff in it. Like, some Americans have come over there and sold their gear. Some gear has been, it's almost like a thrift store type of thing, because there's some people that never wrestled in Japan, but their gear is there. It's kind of, ring worn gear. That's kind of funny to me, but even people that didn't get over here, but they somehow ends up in Tudokan. So, but that place is absolutely for hardcore wrestling fans. But
I spent 2.5 hours looking for this on a Saturday morning, and I could not find it, and I had to call it.
Oh, you couldn't find it?
I never got a chance to get there. However,
Google Maps failed you?
What?
Did Google Maps
failed me. Nothing but my own incompetence failed me, Stephen. Okay,
Jeremy.
like we don't have to litigate this or point fingers. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. It took me 2.5 hours, and I had to meet somebody, and it was just like, you know what? I might get a chance. I might not. It's okay.
All right.
So, with that said, I ran into two people, one of them being Jim Valley, who both have been here in the past, and Tudokan, both in the past and now. And they're both of them, what they said was, it was really cool. I got a lot of stuff, but because of how big this event is, it was more picked over than I'd ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? That's true. That's interesting. It wasn't too bad when I was there in January. It was great in May, but of course, no Wrestle Kingdom then, in fact, New Japan was touring the country when I was there. They did a show in Korakuen while I was in Japan. I couldn't go to it. But yeah, that was, yeah. So, I suppose that makes sense that with that many people in town.
Yeah, it was just, there was a lot of demand. I went to a Giant Baba pop-up shop that was actually really tremendous, and I have some photos in there that I may not have clipped today, but it was just on the 5th floor of this building, and if you bought 4,000 yen worth of merch, including like Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen t-shirts, they had all the things. You would be able to take a photo with all three belts.
It's my Stan Hansen autograph right there behind me with Giant Baba. That's those are my guys.
I have pictures to send you, Stephen. I took pictures of the entire pop-up thing, and it was
beautiful.
It was a tribute. Yeah.
USVA guy mentions fun little story from Dash. American fans tried starting a Taichi chant in the first few minutes of the match, and the Japanese fans shut that down real quick. So, no, we don't do that here. Leave your chants for somewhere else. Yeah. I'm in favor of that, by the way. Some of this American singing and chanting, it's like a soccer game now. It's like American wrestling fans, like WWE in particular, but AEW does it to a lesser degree. I feel like it's almost the approach now with of going to a concert. You want to see and hear the greatest hits, and it's less about the new stuff. And what I mean by that is I think fans go to WWE and they want to sing everybody's song. Mm-hmm. They want to do all the catchphrases back.
They want to make sure all the boxes are checked with the experience.
Yeah, and just like when you go to a concert and it's a band you love, you want to hear some of the new tracks from the album, but you want to hear the stuff that you liked and what made you a fan of the band, right? And it's more of a concert atmosphere. So I think WWE fans are going there just thinking, well, I don't want them to get too creative because I kind of want to see everybody hit their big moves and do all their catchphrases. It's a weird atmosphere now, isn't it, Jeremy? Where it's just kind of but it's more like going to a concert, like do Piano Man, right? You have to do the hits. And so WWE kind of gets stuck in that. And fans, if they don't do it, the fans just do it themselves. We're just going to sing for a while. That doesn't happen in Japan. Japan kind of lets the show come to them instead of pushing the show toward what they want.
This is true. This is very true. But I couldn't help but just laugh and start thinking back to the main event of Tanahashi and Okada when Okada just does the Rainmaker pose. And you didn't know that you wanted to see it. And he did it. And it was just like, oh, man, we're in the end game now. Like, people are, like, super, like, are leveling up to as far as they can go in order to put the guy down. Like, there's no far to go. And you're just like, I really wanted to see this. And then everyone just like goes nuts for it. Like, even though they're booing him the entire time, like everyone wanted it. They didn't know they wanted it and they got it one last time. And it was just like, it put everybody over the edge.
It was the overriding theme of Wrestle Kingdom, wasn't it? Is that New Japan wins. And I don't mean that as like the company was facing invaders, but look at how Tsuji won with the most basic New Japan pro wrestling hold ever, right? And how did Okada have to beat Tanahashi? He had to become the New Japan Okada to win. So it's like he had to throw away temporarily. Like he had to throw away the Don Callis version of him, the smartass who was flipping off the fans earlier in the match. And he had to stop. No, I have to be the Rainmaker. I have to be New Japan Okada in order to beat Tanahashi. Yota Tsuji had to go back to his very shaved head, black boots and trunks roots and use a Boston Crab to beat Tsuji. The whole theme of the night was that at its basis, if you just stick with the New Japan philosophy, you'll come out ahead. And it's a fun message to send, especially in this time when the company is teetering right now. The idea of, hey, we're going to get back to being New Japan again. That's a good message to send. I'm down.
You know, when I was able to boil down what Takeshita versus Tsuji really was, and it was made in Japan versus made in New Japan.
Yeah, great tagline.
And I was just like, so simple. You know what I mean? Like, and what made you in New Japan is what takes you over the edge in this match. It was fundamentally so simple. You know, like,
and Aaron, even Aaron Wolf, the whole thing is like, I'm not wearing the gi. I'm not a judo player. I am a New Japan pro wrestler, and that led him to victory. Over and over again, the message was trust the process, trust the New Japan process, and it wins.
I still think about when he came out on that stage, and I'm just like, you need to take that gear off right now. And he did. And it was just like, okay, now we're cooking. It was just one of those, like, they just understood the mission statement. And by no means is New Japan out of the woods. You know what I mean?
But, no, not at all. Not at all. Not even a little bit.
But there is a sense of confidence. And I even get a sense of anticipation from the Japanese fans. It looks like those New Beginning shows are just, the tickets are selling on that already.
Yeah.
And I like the momentum. I like that Yota Tsuji is not a babyface champion. I like that he's an ass-kicking champion. No, hear me out here. I like that he's like a fighting champion. And he's like, you do not, like, I'm not going to smile and nod and say, oh, you want to match? Like, okay. No, like, this is a title that you need to fucking earn to get a shot at it. And if you think you've earned it, guess again, buddy. You've been gone for a year and a half. I don't care. Get in line. Like, that's the kind of, like, fighting champion that I want right now, that makes the belt feel important, because he's like, no, I'm not just giving MJF a match because Tony Khan wants to book this. If I'm in the main event and he wants to challenge me and he spent some time here, great. Let's do it. That sounds like a fantastic match to do. But if you ain't going to put the time in, and this match isn't going to be the main event of the show, yeah, you can kick off. I'm not coming.
Yeah, we're going
of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the things Yota Tsuji said, because he had a lot. He had a lot to say, and it does sort of represent his vision. Yeah, and all 100% of it makes the title feel important.
But like, it was so out of the blue. It just felt like a mission statement right out the gate. That's what I was saying. It's just they're telling you, like, hey, things are different right now. Tanahashi's gone, the smiling babyface that was captaining this whole ship and making these decisions. Yeah, he's not there. We're all fighting to be the top guy now. And that's how it felt like, that there was a vacuum at the top.
I want to say hello to Fernando Zayas and Maria Graciela Zayas. I'm glad you two are with us as usual. We're glad to have you. So with that in mind, Jeremy, there's a lot to talk about, because there is some optimism going on, like you mentioned. And a lot of it came, of course, from Wrestle Kingdom, the second half of Wrestle Kingdom. Like I said, the first half, it's funny, is a tale of two shows, because you had Shuri and Saya Kamitani, which was terrific. And then a lot of it before you got to the Aaron Wolf match. And then the whole thing just took off like a rocket. Well, the good news is that second half of the show momentum carried over into Dash, and New Year's Dash was a really entertaining show to watch. There were there was good wrestling in addition to the angles. So let's break that down, because again, just like in the Tokyo Dome, not to the degree, but how could it be? Tokyo Dome almost doubled its attendance from last year for Tanahashi's retirement. They didn't do that for Dash. When I was there last year, it was 2,348. This year, 3,523. So an increase of almost 1,200. That's about a 50% increase, so a little bit more than that, which is very strong. Nicely done. And so there is some excitement. And of course, a lot of people in town, right? A lot more people in town than previous years. It began with a 6-man tag match that had some consequence. Right off the bat, we got something that ended up mattering. And this was Team 150. That's, of course, Satoshi Kojima, Taichi, and Tomohiro Ishii, who's combined ages, over 150 years old. They faced Katsuya Murashima, Shota Umino, and Yuya Uemura. Match went about 10 minutes. The wrestling itself was fine. It wasn't so much about that. Boston Crab finished there on Murashima. He was the one that lost it. And what we had here was Murashima was given a lot, and he did well.
He did.
he bowed up on Ishii, and made it look really good. He's the one that ended up tapping him out with the crab. The one thing about Murashima, he did backstage promos. We're going to be talking a lot about backstage comments because they mattered. He needs to stop the loud breathing. Like he moans with is like, when he's playing that he's out of breath. I don't think he's actually out of breath. You can't do 1,000 squats and be out of breath in 3 minutes of ring action. So he's like, putting over the idea that he was just in this fierce battle. He needs to stop that. Stop breathing stop breathing so loudly. You got to do it. You can't just moan with every
living, Murashima.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's really irritating. He needs to stop that. But he did mention that he wants an excursion, and he's starting to say it often enough that I'm starting to think there's a story in that, either that he gets one or that he just flat out graduates. And Ishii and Taichi squared off with Uemura and Umino after the match, which came into play later in the night. A strong start.
Man, you're really underselling that. Murashima busted up Ishii's face, caused him a bloody nose, pissed off Ishii, probably kayfabe, like it just set off that tone, and tapped him out. Afterwards, Shota and Ishii get in the face with each other, and Ishii flicks blood onto Shota as they're jaw-jacking with each other.
Yeah,
and Shota definitely got some weird reactions all throughout this evening.
He did. It didn't happen here so much. It was just kind of lukewarm. This one was, but again,
I think the direction here also played into part there.
Yeah, yes, but a lukewarm reaction in this match, and then there was not lukewarm later. We'll get to all that.
Yeah,
but at this stage, it's just very low. But Uemura and Umino didn't do anything at Wrestle Kingdom. They didn't do anything. That was a nothing match where nobody did anything. So it was hard to get any momentum going. Second match was the Callis family, as it's termed right here, but it's really just Konosuke Takeshita and Rocky Romero. They faced El Phantasmo and Sho Mikado. I want to talk about El Phantasmo a little bit after we go over this match. Another crab finish, and this was Takeshita saying afterwards that he just wanted to get that win back with the crab. So he used the crab on Sho Mikado. Kato did most of the work in this one, but what I wanted to talk about here is Phantasmo mentioned in comments after Wrestle Kingdom that his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom during the pre-show, Chris Brooks, is a big part of the reason he went and got checked out when he was showing some symptoms he didn't like, and his doctors found the cancer. And the reason is because Chris had been through something like that in his past, and he knew Chris.
Wow.
And so, to me, Jeremy, that put a whole new perspective on that match and why it was happening. He said that, and why it mattered to ELP that it was Chris in that match at Wrestle Kingdom in front of 40-some thousand people. He said that Chris went through the same thing. It made him go to check out, and then he did a speech about how everyone should get themselves checked out. Get your health, do your checkups, all that stuff, because it could literally save your life. And to me, it just put a whole new twist on that. So after hearing that, I'm very glad that Chris Brooks and El Phantasmo had their match at Wrestle Kingdom in front of a sold-out building, because if that's the case, if Chris is part of the reason we still have Riley, then well worth the time.
He was a good reason to have the match. Topping on top of the Sunday kind of thing. I was already happy that they were having the match, and I thought the match was great, and good reason to have the match. So I am 100% with you on that one. I do kind of think that there's some weird stuff going on with Don Callis family and United Empire and Rocky and Andrade and all this stuff. So I would not be shocked if Takeshita finds himself without a whole lot of friends, and ELP ends up being one of his friends in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, we'll see how it turns out, but that's something that happened here. But glad to have them both over there. Sho Mikado, by the way, will get his Young Lion Cup tournament. He has been pining for months, And that is going to come up on the Road to New Beginnings. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But he and Murashima will be the heavy favorites in that tournament. But he got it. He asked and he asked and he asked, and it was granted. After that, we had a 6-man tag match, and this would be Bishamon, Hiro Kigoto, and Yoshihashi teaming up with Oleg Boltin to face the House of Torture, that being Sanada, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Yujiro Takahashi. Went just under 10 minutes. The finish was a Shoto with the splash, so Bishamon delivering the Shoto while Bolton gives the flying body sausage, as it's been called for a while, with the big splash. Did I tell you that? I think I did. I mentioned that I was going back through old archives, and I heard them call flying body sausage on King Kong Bundy delivering that move in like 1985 or something, like just before he went back to the WWF to be at WrestleMania. King Kong Bundy had a heel run all the way back. So the flying body sausage has been the name for that move longer than a lot of us have been alive. Not me.
It's been processed, unprocessed, processed again, and revived.
And Nick Reeves has a good question we're going to get to later on here. And he also wanted to mention, after hearing ELP's comments, I kind of wish they just presented the dome match straight and didn't run the angles that they did. Yeah.
You gotta make heat for a match.
Yeah, you did. And I got an ELP on the DDT show, which is a nice little treat for the people that went to DDT. And I suppose
it's easy to do the crossover when you're all running the same building. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, have a little fun with it. Everybody hinted, like you said, he was going to be there. Once he hinted and he was going to be there, you kind of have to do something, you know.
So Jeremy Sanada, adios,
out of here.
He left, and according to either they're working us, which I kind of doubt it. We're on the NJPW 1972 website. We got the dreaded black and white lion mark logo that says Sanada has taken an indefinite leave from the company. His post on his social media just kind of said, goodbye, I'm gone. And so I guess Sanada is, unless running, and of course, part of Sanada's character that he turns on action every so often. But it doesn't seem like that. It sounds like Sanada may be at least on the way out for a while.
My understanding, and this is purely rumor, but pretty good sourced rumor, is that he's finally going to get his arm looked at, and the atrophied arm, and he's going to go see what he can do to get that better before it's too late. And it's going to take some time. So he's gone from New Japan. If there's an opportunity for him to return, all these things, obviously, but it's time for him to go get fixed. And so,
it's been a while since he's been right physically, isn't it? He just hasn't been himself.
Yeah.
Hasn't been himself.
And so he got a good run at he was the perfect guy to have a great entrance at Wrestle Kingdom, and just do one more match and just kind of get that last little victory lap, because he gave his body to New Japan. They're one of those guys that, like, he's not going to be the one of those people walking down a ramp, like, saying goodbye to somebody in 25 years. But he's also one of those people whose body has hurt him in a way where he's feeling the same pain that, like, a Kenny Omega and a Kota Ibushi and all these guys are feeling. Like, he's been through it.
Yeah, strong style is not good for your body at all. We're seeing we're seeing a lot of that come home to roost. Brad is here. I'm glad to see Brad here. He says Sanada leaves LIJ. They're no longer around. He leaves the War Dogs. They're no longer around. Leaves Five Guys. They're no longer around. He knows when to jump ship from a unit. So yeah, I guess so. I hadn't thought about it that way, but it does seem like
the countdown on House of Torture. Are you going to be around forever?
Ooh, yeah, who knows? Yeah. So anyway, that Sanada gone for now. So that was that match. We'll move on from there. There wasn't much to the match itself. It was fine. Nothing to it. After that, another 6-man tag match. This one was good. It was Andrade El Idolo, Francesco Akira, and Jacob Austin Young facing Clark Connors, Gabe Kidd, Hiromu Takahashi. Connors there to do the job. Andrade wins with the message, his big move there. It was fine. Kidd challenged Andrade for February 11th, with the winner getting a shot at the global title. So Gabe is sticking around at least that long. So we know that that one's apparently coming up. But it has not been formally announced on the website, but that was what they were talking about there. The Kid wanted a shot at Andrade. So I guess Gabe Kidd is going to be making Andrade El Idolo in New Japan for the time being.
I'm really looking forward to this match.
I am too, by the way. Andrade is a hell of a wrestler when he's motivated, and the Gabe Kidd brings the intensity. I think that it's an interesting little mix of styles and chemistry, but I think this could really be good.
This is just kind of like, I didn't know I wanted to see this in New Japan, but now that it's kind of an option, I'm like, yeah, all right. This is a banger match that you could have. Now that Andrade is fully back with AEW, I'm not necessarily sure just how much time he's going to be in New Japan and with United Empire. And also he's with the Don Callis family over there, and there's no real alignment between Don Callis and United Empire here. I wonder if something like that ends up being like a realignment. You know what I mean? Like those are the two factions that have kind of a familial link between both promotions rather than anything else. That's the only thing that I can think of, because the rest of this is kind of weird with the dynamic of who's where and what. Even though it worked really great for Wrestle Kingdom, I'm not sure what happens forward with that. But that's just kind of a wait and see kind of thing.
All right. So, and we will indeed wait and see. But they're going to put over Andrade here for a minute.
Yeah, so I could see him actually beating Yota Tsuji for the global title with Jake Lee interference, and that pissing off Yota Tsuji enough to... You know what I mean? Like, just
we can always start blowing this momentum anytime. Yeah, absolutely right.
Look, either Yota Tsuji abdicates the title or he ends up losing it either way. He needs to lose it, in order for him
not immediately. No,
not immediately, but at some point he's gonna have to take a pinfall. How do you want to make? Does he abdicate it? Does he put it in a 3-way? You know what I mean? Like,
I said that. There's a lot of ways New Japan could blow this momentum. You just heard a couple of them.
They book themselves into a corner with it, but sometimes you just have to pull the Band-Aid, deal with, fix the problem, and then move on.
He could just win and establish this as championships that matter. So you could always do that in New Japan. You could always make your titles matter. Just thinking. You could always just have your champion win and look good. Go ahead. Might try it. Might work for you once in a while. Make your champion look good. All right. After that, we had an 8-man tag. This was Aaron Wolf, kind of, Master Wato, Toru Yano, and Yo against Dick Togo, Don Fale, Evil, and Ren Narita. So we talked about this, Jeremy, that his match at Wrestle Kingdom was going to be choreographed. It was longer than we thought, but it was certainly choreographed and a debut we all love.
Yes.
But my question immediately was, how's this guy going to do in matches that aren't specifically choreographed to get him over? Our answer is he did 2 judo throws, got thrown to the outside and beaten up a little bit, and never did another damn thing the whole night. And that was it. 2 judo throws off to the outside. Fine. He's not ready for regular matches quite yet. He's going to be in some, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for Wolf, though, that he did almost nothing in the match at all. So he clearly isn't ready to work quite yet. But I'll say this, he's loosening up a little bit in his post-match comments. It's not great or anything, but he's not as stiff, doesn't look as frightened, quite frankly, or nervous as he did before. A little bit better in his post-match stuff. And he'll have a singles match coming up, and he's going to be on the road too, shows. So they are putting him on the road and getting him some reps. Thing is here, Jeremy, 2 quick judo throws and then done. I'm convinced that he is going to do nothing until that Chiba show except be in that dojo every single day unless he has a prior commitment. He is a celebrity. He's a famous person. He's in demand. But I'd imagine that anytime he can, he's going to be in that gym. If he can go into Chiba and do 3 things instead of 2, and then if by the end of the tour he can do 4 or 5 things, like the key to Wolf, only have him do what he can do, what he looks good doing, and try some of the other, just a couple other things. But I mean, I'm seriously talking about 3 things in one day. The next week, 4 things. I mean, the worst thing they can do.
A slow, steady wins the race, not a race to the finish.
Yes, but the worst thing you can do is put him in a place to look green and foolish. And so the last thing on earth you want Aaron Wolf to look like is a normal young lion. Period.
Right.
No.
Right.
So if that means he only does 1 or 2 spots until he perfects something else, then fine. This is a slow burn. You've done the job. He was on national television and he looked great. Mission accomplished. Now just don't do anything to mess up that shine he's got. And that's my advice to them. Is like, I know he needs reps and all that, but be very careful with what this guy does during his
protect him in the multi-man tags and make him shine in the singles matches, and don't have that many singles matches.
As Nick Reeves said, you simply cannot deny that Aaron Wolf was listed as a participant in the match. He was absolutely there. He was there. And Brad mentions his first title defense will be against Ren Narita at New Beginnings. New Beginning? Yeah. Ren is a good next opponent for him. Keep putting him in with talent like that, and he'll get it.
He's going to run through all of the House of Torture, and it's going to take him 6 months. That'll be fine.
Yeah, that'll be all right. Okay, so after that, we had another 8-man tag, and this one was another one that was very eventful. Decent enough match. Again, these matches were entertaining, nothing blow away until later. We got a blow away match, though. Callum Newman, Great-O-Khan, Henare, and Jake Lee faced the War Dogs and Shingo and Tsuji. So this was unaffiliated and War Dogs for now. The biggest moment of this match, Jeremy, happened before the match started. Yota Tsuji took off his that really cool red jacket and revealed the V4 championship belt. It was made official that they have merged the World Heavyweight title with the old IWGP Heavyweight Championship lineage. So now Tsuji, Zack, Goto are on the same list as Tanahashi and Hashimoto, Shinya Hashimoto and Chono and Muto, going all the way back. And Yota Tsuji is officially the 87th IWGP Heavyweight Champion. The global title will also be his, defended separately. He said that the IWGP Heavyweight title will be defended on New Japan events in Japan, the way we normally think of it. Dominion, Wrestle Kingdom, Dontaku, blah, blah, blah. The global title, he said, will be more for international events and invading wrestlers, was how he put it. So foreigner comes over from another company or another country, they go after the global title. The world title is going to be held in reserve for...
He's gatekeeping the world title.
And we'll see if they hold to that. They don't always. Remember, the original version for the TV title, the original vision for the TV title, completely different than what we have now. They can always change their mind. And keep in mind, again, I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, but this is a company that booked poorly the last couple of years. Really booked poorly. So we've got to be cautious that all of a sudden they've figured it out and their eyes have cleared. I hope they have. But that's what they said they were going to do. I kind of like that. Let's see if they hold to it. He also said that he will boycott any future events that want to put anything other than the IWGP title match as the main event. Period. World title comes last. It is the main event.
You heard me advocate for agreeing with everything that Yota Tsuji said with that, so I'm not going to relitigate any of that right now. But a couple little factoids with this whole heavyweight championship into the world heavyweight championship back to the heavyweight championship. Kota Ibushi was 73 on the list of the heavyweight championship before it transitioned to the world heavyweight championship, which was the first title holder being Will Ospreay before he vacated it, and then Shingo Takagi ended up winning it. So instead of Will being the first of that lineage, he is now the 74th title holder of the heavyweight championship. Jon Moxley is now the 81st IWGP heavyweight champion, so on and so on and so forth, rather than him being the 8th champion of the world heavyweight. So if that hopefully gives people clarity of how that's supposed to work now. Yeah. Basically, Takeshita was the last world heavyweight champion, and now Kota Tsuji.
Yeah, and so the match took place, and yeah, you nailed all that. They also, by the way, they brought back the actual physical belt that was the Intercontinental title this press conference, and because that was part of the World Heavyweight title and all this, it gets complicated, but they essentially retired the Intercontinental title officially.
It's on the global titles lineage is actually the U.S. title.
Everybody got that? All right, good. Now then we had a match. It was just fine. The old belt got a bit of a pop, by the way. Henare beat Maloney, but Henare won the match with a power bomb, so putting him over, coming back. And I agree with Brad here. He says Henare has looked good these first 2 matches back. I'm happy for him. He and Great Khan seem to be the heavyweight team for the unit, and I like that. They work well together. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. I completely agree. I think it's a step forward.
I saw Henare in the lobby, and I got to tell him he looked great.
What did he say?
Thank you, man.
He's a good guy to talk to. He's gregarious and very friendly and good with fans. He's got a charisma about him, a personal charisma.
He was approachable, even though I just tried to do my very best to not be in their way. You know what I mean? Like, look, after Wrestle Kingdom, everyone's just trying to get back to their hotel room. I just happened to stumble across them. So say your bit of moment, didn't ask for a picture, just moved on.
And Nick Reeves says Tsuji's comments on the philosophy of the global title suggests that as the main event of the non-G1 US shows moving forward. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
and of course,
both milked for an extended period of time.
Remember, Kid and Andrade are going to wrestle each other on February 11th for a shot at the global title. What happens to be coming up at the end of February? A show here in the United States on which Tsuji can defend it. So there you have it. It all works out.
Funny how that all works out.
And Nick also said, I feel like I'm preparing for a high school test with all this championship lore. Tell me about it. Now, wasn't the only news. Now, there was a lot to go into this match. Afterwards, Callum Newman just pissed, just mad, just in a crappy mood, even though they won the match. And they, let's see here. He says he's going at David Finlay a lot. They've been going at it for a while now. That's what led to the match at Wrestle Kingdom in the first place. He says it's a new United Empire. Francesco Akira came back, and he's all in with Newman now. He's gone heel in his post-match comments. Jacob Austin Young was always all in. So Akira's post-match comments is, the friendly guy that was doing commentary with Walker, and that's all over with now. I'm here to hurt people. Jacob Austin Young is already Jacob Austin Young. I like him as a wrestler, but his spot as the jobber for the group kind of cracks me up when he starts doing his Scrappy-Doo routine about wanting to kick everybody's ass. Let me at him. All right. Okay, son, you're fine. You're still doing the jobs for this group for a little while until they get another new guy. But he's a talented guy. His whole badass attitude cracks me up because he's the guy that always loses. And that'll change. Callum Newman used to be that guy, not anymore. That'll change as he grows into his role. So he's saying new United Empire. When whose music hits? The leader of the old United Empire, Will Ospreay, who comes out. And everyone was genuinely happy to see him at Oda Ward Gym. He walks down to the ring and then cuts an absolute babyface promo of all babyface promos. Could not have been more of a smiling, I love you guys type of interview where he says he will come back when he can. He's sorry. He apologizes to the other guys. This is not somebody who's trying to whip the troops in line. He's like, I didn't realize you were all so hurt that I was gone. I feel so bad about it. And then afterwards, he hugs Newman, who they almost did the thing with the look on his face. That's a trope now in wrestling where you hug a guy and then you give away your actual emotions with the look on your face and the camera captures it. They did it with that god-awful angle with Cena and The Rock, and now they're doing it all the time. It's a cliche now already. Less than a year. Anyway, afterwards, Newman is sitting in the ring. He's got a chair from when he was taunting Finlay, sitting in the chair in the ring. Will says, crowns up, everybody. Let's do this. And everybody does. Even Jake Lee did. Yeah, but Henare, Okan, hell yeah, crowns up. Newman stands up and begins to fold up his chair to whack Ospreay across the back, and he's
got the all Grumman Reigns the Shield.
He's stopped by Henare and Okan, and either Will Ospreay is an absolute blithering idiot, or he's going to watch this back on a replay and realize that it happened. I don't know. We'll see which, because sometimes there's all these things in wrestling sometimes, like you don't watch your own show. We heard what the guy said, how do you not know? Yes, and Nick mentions it looked like Jake literally did not know how to do the hand symbol for a little bit. He was like, oh shit, how do you do the crown thing again? But this is his first time. He'll get it. But so clearly Callum Newman is not on board with Will Ospreay. It seems like Jake is going to go with the flow. It's wherever the wind blows, wherever he thinks is best for him. Okan and Hanare seem like they were all in with Ospreay. And so I think there's going to be more twists to this tale before all these factions are sorted out fully.
I mean, what's the end game here? Will puts over Callum?
Well, Will can't come back for a long time if he can come back.
I think we're talking about like getting Callum to a point where he and Will have a singles match at Wrestle Kingdom next year.
You can't depend on that. We don't even know if Will's going to be able to come.
That's what I'm saying. Like Will came out here with I'm not back, but when I do, I'm coming to.
It sounded more like an if than a when to me.
I hear you that it was an if, but there was also clearly an angle that they're setting up here.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
no, definitely. But
if all things come together, I think Will coming back in 9 months is much better to me mentally than him coming back in 6. But in a year, I do think he's ready to have a match at Wrestle Kingdom. And
we'll
if
see.
That's going to be the guy, is it Callum Newman?
That was pretty invasive neck surgery he had. We'll have to see. I just want Will to be happy and be able to walk for the rest of his life.
I saw all those guys coming down the ramp, and I'm with you on this, on them being able to take care of themselves and all that. What I'm saying is what they set up in that angle of what they're hoping to do feels like they're trying to set up a big match between the two.
Hey, I have a more important question for you, Jeremy. I'm looking at this graphic here on the screen, and does that look like it says Druid Finlay to you?
No, it looks like David, but I see Druid.
I think it looks like Druid to me.
Yeah.
Just their typeface, the font they're using is just kind of cracking me up here. Doesn't look like a V. It looks like a U.
No.
Anyway, USVA guy has a really cool fact. He says, fun fact for us, and I like this a lot. Thank you, Esteban. When you see the V4 and it looks extra polished and unused, it's not the regularly used V4 title belt. It is the prototype stored in the vault, originally used by Jay White and debuted at Madison Square Garden.
Like that.
Yeah, where are you going to get that information? Nowhere else. Thank you, USVA guy. I appreciate that. That's very cool. All right. So, that was that. And then afterwards, we still have more to talk about here, Jeremy, because afterwards, Yota Tsuji said something that I said the exact same as Nick Reeves, which is, of course, they dissolve unaffiliated just after I buy the shirt in December. I did the same thing, Nick. I bought the shirt in December because I like the shirt, the unaffiliated shirt. And now he just says, well, there's no more unaffiliated. Son of a bitch. Anyway, it's already a collector's item.
Unaffiliated, you knew it was temporary.
I did, yeah. That's why I bought it when it was on sale. But the whole thing, it's still funny that I think I wore it one time and I'm like, whatever. So Tsuji says, War Dogs and unaffiliated as an alliance, no more. We are now one faction. We are called Unbound Company. Terrible name for a faction. We'll work on that. We'll workshop that for a bit. But it's a rotten name, but there it is.
Shift yet, everybody. They'll change it again.
Yeah, it is a new faction. That's the thing. It is molded into one faction totally. And Shingo Takagi and Hiromu seem to be all in on it for now. And some of the War Dogs, of course, might be here, might not as the year goes on. And so some of those guys might be filtering out of the group. It's a pretty large group right now with all the War Dogs in it. Maloney seems like he's all in. But, Finlay, is Finlay going to be a number 2? But is Finlay even going to be in New Japan? He might not know yet.
The fightful word on the street is that WWE might be interested.
WWE might be interested in a lot of things. Yeah. A lot of things. Nick Reeves says Unbound by itself would have been a better name. Yeah. A little too close to unaffiliated, though. So I guess they wanted to just do something. Unbound Company.
Bullet Club is not fine. Bullet Club is dead. I do believe Bullet Club will not be coming back.
I saw a lot of merch with that Bullet Club stuff on it.
It's a really toxic label.
Well, yeah.
They've been graduating to War Dogs for a while. They don't use the Bullet Club iconography. Like it's very much in poor taste if you really think about it. And
well, that's not. Yeah, that's. I mean, there are arguments on either side. They have sold a lot of that stuff, though.
They have, and maybe that's not a good thing.
The gun violence thing is less of a taboo in Japan than it is here, just because they don't have.
It was less of a taboo when the faction was created, but
they have had. They had a prime minister assassinated, didn't Yeah, all right. Well, let's not get into the politics of it over here, but it's a.
I'm just not shocked the faction is gone, and it's probably for the best.
It's
also a tether to the past.
This day and age, it is a little icky.
Yeah, it's a tether to the past as well. Like literally in the company, like LIJ is gone, Bullet Club is gone. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things that just make you feel like they're moving on from the factions that heavily were defined from the last 10 years. Chaos is no longer a thing. LIJ, Bullet Club, it's just an overtime.
Never mind Sonata leaving. Just get me to buy one of your towels. TMDK is toast, everybody. I'm calling it right now. TMDK. It's right behind.
I think they're one of the safest factions to stick around.
It seems like every piece of merch I buy, it just gets put on the shelf. It's not put on the shelf, but just gets it's obsolete. It's out to pasture, obsolete immediately. Okay. With all that, that's all the news from early in the show. And it was interesting stuff. Then we had a couple of really, really good matches to end the night. Now, the first one was a sprint. It only went 7 minutes and 20 seconds. It was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title match. It was four corners. So you had Fujita and Eagles, then Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori. You had Doki and Sho, the champions, and you had Desperado and Kukai. Like I said, only 7 minutes, but this was all action, lots of fun. These guys just went nuts out there, and it was 100 miles an hour, but an entertaining version of it because look at the people involved in this match. Good grief. There's just so much talent in that ring. Everyone did something impressive that I could see anyway. I thought there was at one point just about every single guy did something where I went, ooh, nice. Hard to stand out again, but it was entertaining. Fujita and Eagles.
Was showing off.
Yeah. Sho had a really good match, by the way. And Doki's, we know he's good. And Sho is good also, but sometimes he gets bogged down the gimmick. Fujita and Eagles won with the Interceptor on Robbie X. Fabulous stuff. TMDK and the new champions. And afterwards, Francesco Akira came out and attacked Taiji Ishimori, and Hiromu made the save, putting over the idea again of the unaffiliated War Dogs moving into Unbound Company together. And Jeremy, I popped for this because this is getting closer to one of my all-time dream tag teams, Hiromu Takahashi and Taiji Ishimori. Just give it to me one time, New Japan. That's all I ask. One time.
That would be a really fun tag team.
Oh, my God. That's absolutely fantastic. And Nick Reeves says, I can't explain why I'm repping House of Torture and certainly can't explain Bullet Club to a normal person without feeling a bit of embarrassment. We may have hit the nail on the head then as far as the merch thing goes. Maybe it's just time to.
I mean, I wanted Bullet Club here 10 years ago, but I couldn't. I could imagine what the person like on the street who has no idea what wrestling is looking at me and just making opinions of me, and I'm just like, I just can't.
Yep. All right. So new tag team, junior heavyweight tag team champions, and they have their first defense lined up. We're going to get to that in a bit. So it ended with a hell of a good IWGP tag team title match. On one side, you had the champions, Oscar and Yuto Ice. They faced Ryohei Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr. This thing was fantastic. Serious strikes in this one, folks. These guys clearly trust one another because they were laying these shots in. All four of them. Zack was hitting hard. Zack got hit hard. Oiwa and Yuto went to war in this thing, absolutely blistering each other. Oscar was right there with him. This was an outstanding match. And I know you have Zack who can lift up just about anybody on earth, but Ice and Oscar don't need a lot of lifting. They can run with these guys. They're not the technical wrestlers Zack is. Nobody is. But in a tag team environment, these guys are as good as anybody. They're just so terrific. And they're really charismatic. They got the win with the knockout bomb on Oiwa. Just go back and watch this. If you haven't seen this, go back and watch this fabulous match. They defend the titles. And then, Jeremy, Yuto Ice cuts a fantastic promo. And Chris Charlton mentioned it. He says, I just want to run through a wall now with Yuto. Close the show, a great match, a great promo to end. And I bet everybody walked out of Oda Ward Gymnasium just floating on air after that. Just fired up, energized.
The show's fire, man. These guys, they were never going to get this amount of time on the night before. You know, like this wasn't. They were not going to get this match and this time on the Wrestle Kingdom card. So I get why they did what they did, And I guess in hindsight, it's all fine. You know, like I wish
it should have been on Kingdom.
It should have, but they would have been this good. So like, and wouldn't get to cut the promo. Like all the things that you loved about this match wouldn't have been on Kingdom.
You could have done it in a rematch. You could have done it in a rematch and did it. But they should have been featured in front of that crowd. But
there were hard decisions to be made. I get it, and I'm not even going to fight it anymore.
But Yuto's Nick says Yuto's promo was enough for me to accept this match getting bumped from Wrestle Kingdom. So yeah, and Brad loved it too. He said we might have lost the ace of the universe, but now we have the ice of the universe.
Wow, we got a stand over here.
It's really, really good. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's again the messaging from Yuto is that he used that whole "let's get high, big up" thing, where he just says, you get the biggest high from New Japan. Nobody else is going to give you a better high. He did it a lot better than I just did. It's a fantastic charisma. Oh, it's ridiculous. But it's all about New Japan, putting over the company, making the company the babyface. It's exactly what they need right now. And Jeremy is asking, is Ice going to be a single star sometime? Yeah, probably.
So this guy being a huge ass babyface, and then Shota Umino getting booed out of the building, which happens almost immediately around this time. Why don't we bring up that little hitch in the giddy up?
Well, someone always comes out to, well, not always. Someone usually comes out to challenge, right? And so it was Uemura and Umino who were met with and boos. Now, Nick Reeves mentioned that this was a higher percentage of American fans in the audience than you usually get because people were in town for Wrestle Kingdom. It's an interesting point, and they may have been part of the chorus of boos for Shota Umino. Nevertheless, there was definitely a negative reaction to him and Uemura coming in. Uemura has lost so much steam since, remember in the New Japan Cup, we just thought, oh my God, this guy might be just about ready. And now he's just a guy. This has really been rough on him for the last, I'm not doing a pun on the just 5 guys or 4 guys thing. Yeah. He has absolutely turned into a mid-card interchangeable guy in a lot of ways. It's sad to see how poorly handled he's been over the last 8 months.
See, I'm not really that worried about Yuya, and I think when he gets his next push, he's going to be immediately fine. I think people are just waiting for it to happen and are kind of exasperated that it's not happening right now. I will say with Shota was pushed at a level that was very, very high last year. We both litigated this exactly a year ago. So we're at the World Tag League time. He gets a title match, right? And they don't win. And so I think the exasperation has part to do with running that back immediately after one of their favorites, Tomohiro Ishii, and him get into it. And if they're going to pick a guy in that fight between the two, they're going with Tomohiro Ishii. And so when he comes in there and he's like, I want to tag, immediately he becomes the bad guy because he's the least popular of all the people. I do think that there was a legitimate Japanese presence to those boos. I don't think that the American audience particularly helped.
Yeah. And Nick was just saying, in the best of times, Japanese crowds are quiet for Umino, which is really more their usual response. You're right, but I haven't heard outright rejection for him to that degree before. But and Jeremy's asking why. I'm assuming he's saying why is Ice going to be a single star? To me, the same reason Togi Makabe was, and Togi Makabe was a big single star in that it's a big burly guy who could work and can have matches that look like fights, and they look different. He wrestles different than Zach. He wrestles different than Tsuji. It's a brawling mentality, but there's still work rate in there. And Makabe had the Unchained Gorilla charisma. And if you go back and watch Makabe in his prime when he was competing for the championship with Nakamura, Tanahashi, and things, you could see that it's very similar to the way the crowd responds to Yuto Ice. It's just like, this guy's going to come down here and fists are going to fly. And whatever happens is going to be exciting. And that's what Ice brings. It's what Makabe brought. It's a lot of Makabe in Yuto Ice. And whether he means it intentionally or not, there's a lot there. I think a lot of it is intentional. But he is that kind of guy who can bring that. This might not go long, but it's going to be a thrill, and I think that's what he's going to bring. And yeah, and Nick Reeves mentioned that Shota and Yuya lost twice to KOB in the last 2 months. That doesn't help things either. Yeah, it did seem kind of like
we're doing this again. That's why like they're booing. They see Shota coming out there for another title match, a tag match challenge, and you're just like, really? We're doing this again? Like yeah.
He's asking what is wrong with Yuya as well. USVA guy says he's elastic. He's the guy that the company is setting up to get behind. Yuya is there to help Shota out. My thing is, with his piss poor booking over the last year, he hasn't really had a lot to do, and you can hear it in the promos. There's no spirit to him anymore. It's just like, Shota and I are going to lead New Japan forward, and we are going to be in charge of Hontai. And then there was that weird thing during Tag League where he didn't bow on the lion mark, and his whole thing just seems to be like, we're rah-rah Hontai, and it feels flat. And it's the kind of promo you do when you, as the worker yourself, don't know what you're doing. And I don't mean that he is incompetent. I'm saying that I don't know what my story is. So the only thing I can think of to say is it's going to be a big 2026 for Yuya Uemura. I'm going to be the sun. He does that. I am the sun, and I'm going to bring light to New Japan. But there's no direction because he doesn't know what it is. And he can't just make it up.
Well, I mean,
so he's just got to kind of...
A lot of them don't know what their creative is, or are finding out what their creative for the year is, like literally right now.
Vanilla generic stuff. And it comes off disingenuous and flat. And that's the booking. He's certainly a talented guy, but look when he had that direction at the New Japan Cup where it looked like he was going somewhere, and then he failed in the G1, and then he spent the fall doing virtually nothing, and then he teamed with Shota and failed, and it comes off now as a guy that just isn't quite good enough, and he's flat. Now you can push that, but until he gets a direction, he just seems like a guy. That's my issue with it.
I'm not worried, but I will validate that I see where you're coming from.
All right. So let's see. And Brad said Ice is going to be what Togi Makabe was. The promo he cut was Mox level rah-rah speech, and it was exactly what was needed. Yeah, I mean, it's the message that New Japan needs to be giving right now. So that was New Year's Dash, and a lot of matches ended up coming out of that. But we have some Wrestle Kingdom numbers as well, Jeremy. And some information on how it aired. So the show aired on late night TV, not terribly late. I think it was on like 10:30, 10:15. It was on delay. So it did not air live. They cut it down. The focus of it was Tanahashi versus Okada, of course. And then Wolf and Evil was shown in its entirety. So that was what aired. There were clips of Takeshita and Tsuji. There were clips of Shuri and Kamitani. Rest of the card was not shown. So that was what actually aired on television. And Jeremy drew 3.5 million viewers on TV Asahi, which is a damn fine number in Japan. That is a strong rating. People were definitely curious about this. So 3.5 million people in a country that doesn't have that nearly the audience here. And you think about that, you hear about the ratings that, Raw gets about 1 million and all, and this is a special occasion, but 3.5 million in a much smaller country. This is a big success. Also heard some numbers that indicate that there were about 108,000 people watching on NJPW World. So Tanahashi mentioned there were about 150,000 or so. I can't remember the exact number he gave. I'm sorry, but that between live and NJPW World, if you subtract the audience from the live, you get about 108,000 people watching on NJPW World. To me, that's very interesting because you have to think that a lot of NJPW World subscribers in Japan were in the Dome. You're one. So if 108,000 people were watching, a good chunk of that 49,000 are also subscribers, and you can kind of get a general idea of maybe how many subscribers there are to NJPW World, which they don't really release.
Yeah, Dave and I were talking about this the other night, and he said they absolutely blew away the numbers. Like the 155,000, they only had 97,000 subs at their max when they did their big Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago. Good. The fact that they even had 155,000 subscriptions is like absolutely shattering the level of subs that New Japan, World had. So unbelievable numbers. Like everything tracking for it was an absolute massive success for New Japan. And it just feels like they have a hot product right now, and they kind of feel like they have some momentum with it, you know?
And Brad mentioned we were rewarded with a really fun show. Yeah, absolutely. And they came through. They had a big audience, and the stuff they had on that show delivered. Of Wrestle Kingdom, those are the 4 matches you want people to look at. Those are the 4, and they got it. So if you watch the thing, you think, oh, this product's pretty good right now. It's not, but hey, it was for a night.
I rewatched the shows on World over the last couple of days after watching it, watching everything live. Right, I was in the bubble. Okay, like the noise levels that I heard on TV, I couldn't hear any of that on the crowd. You know, it's like I really need to underscore this. Like I was in the vicinity of it feeling like an indie show with a lot of people around me. Like there was almost like this cone of like I was only hearing what was coming in, but I couldn't hear everyone ambient all around. I could feel stuff like when Okada and Tanahashi would do strikes and the crowd would go, oh, or like, and they all did it in unison. I could literally feel that, but the noise that was permeating on the TV about how massive that sound was, I couldn't feel it, any of it.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
It was wild.
Well, you know the story of Steve Austin at WrestleMania, right?
Go for it.
There was one match that Steve Austin was doing. You can probably figure out which one. I think it was X7 or whatever. Anyway, the point being, Vince McMahon was at ringside for it. I think there was one where all the McMahons were ringside. Not the point. Vince McMahon was at ringside. Steve Austin's wrestling at WrestleMania. And he talks about how he couldn't hear the damn crowd. And he, at one point, was getting choked by McMahon, right? They're working on the outside or something. And he's whispering to Vince, are we dying? Are we dying? And he, do they hate it? And Vince is like choking him, working him, choking him. Said, no, they love it. They love it. They're going crazy. And he's like, can't hear him. And, goes through, and he thought that the match was a little bit off because he just, you ride the wave of the crowd. Sometimes the crowd tells you what to do when you reach that level of worker, right? And afterwards, he said, I can't hear anything. It's not a normal crowd. You do something, and any noise kind of feels like it drifts away, and it hits you 3 seconds later. And that is why WWE has started putting large monitors, speakers, around ringside at stadium shows that pipe the crowd noise into the ring, because it actually will, through just the speed of sound and everything, they will hear it more like an arena than that, wave of sound coming later in a stadium. And so I think you just kind of demonstrated that it does feel and sound different, because now the workers they hear it through the speakers, and then like a second later, there's as the real noise hits them. It's kind of an interesting thing to me, but it shows you how different it can be wrestling in a stadium than wrestling in an arena. It's a very different. Chris Jericho has described it as looking out at the crowd, and it looks like waves in the ocean. You can't see any one thing. It's just like this kind of a mass that moves together. And whereas if you're in an arena, even in an arena like Osaka Joe Hall that holds 10,000, you can look out and see a person. He says, you almost can't do that at the Dome. There's fog, and it's just so many that it just looks like a ocean waves. And he said it's disorienting sometimes.
So for frame of reference, this is going to be really entertaining for the audio crowd, but I'm going to throw up some pictures here and we'll do some descriptions. I had a clear line of sight to the ring, but there, to my left of me was the ramp, and there were about 3 or 4 rows that were in front of me there. So we're going to go with it here. So there's got a picture of Takeshita coming down to the ring. I've got my line of sight of Yota Tsuji holding both the global title and the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We've got Okada walking past me on the ramp. Got Okada and Tanahashi in the line of sight facing the ring when they were off doing the DDT off of the ringside barricade. And then shots of Tanahashi doing his high fly flow off of the top of the turnbuckle onto the onto the ground with Okada catching him like a boss.
The ace is high. Yeah, and there you go.
And then I got Okada and Tanahashi fighting on the ring, fighting on the ramp before the count out. And off to the right is the look on Okada's face after the match is over. And I caught the holy shit, we fucking pulled that one off look on his face.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that in there. It's just like, man, that went so much better than I thought it was going to.
We did it. We fucking did it.
And it's interesting here because Nick brings it up. Tanahashi's hair, flying through the air as Okada punches him. But Tana says he's getting a haircut this week. So we'll see.
Party in the front, business in the back is what I heard.
Going full mullet on us. All right. So there's
reverse mullet.
Oh, no. Let's not do that. Okay, Jeremy.
Yes.
Before we move on to what's coming up ahead, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming up ahead, but tell us a little bit about the podcast summit. You met up with some of our colleagues in Tokyo.
Yes, sir. So we had the Hub's British Pub, and this is a showing of the turnout, which was a number of podcasters and fans from Super J Cast, Keeping It Strong Style, We Weren't Stiff, and our podcast, Speaking of Strong Style. We did in fact have a few people who said, yeah, we were here for that show. So shout out to Lisa and Jake and
oh,
so
cool.
On.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was very cool and very gratifying to see that. And this right here is the group of people. We got Floyd and we got Josh off to the left. They are with the Social Suplex Network. Josh on the other side of Josh, is Jeremy. In the pink shirt in the front is Joel from Super J-Cast. I'm in the back doing the Okada pose. Josh from We Weren't Stiff is off to the right, and I think that guy's name is Brian. That just happened to be in the picture, but wasn't actually a podcaster.
All right. So, good time had by all, though?
I think everyone was very happy to be there. I think everyone had a great time. People were able to eat, congregate, kind of talk with people. I actually ran into a listener by the name of Van Damaged who gave me a zine that he had drawn with all the things from Wrestle Kingdom. But here's the interesting thing, Steven.
Yeah.
We lived in the same town at the same time during the pandemic.
Oh, no kidding. You had no idea.
We shopped at the same comic book store.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you wonder. Yeah,
I had to shout that one out because that was an exceptionally cool poll, and he was an exceptionally cool individual, and I needed to make sure I gave him his props on that one. That one meant a lot to me. So
yeah, that's a really cool one. All right. So, all right. So moving ahead, we're going to look at what's coming up forward here. Now, we mentioned the Young Lion Cup. This will be the first since 2019, which was won by Carl Fredericks. So the Young Lion Cup will be starting on January 19th, and it will be part of the Road to New Beginning tour. So we have a bracket, and the two senior ones, Shomakato, who's been asking for this for months, and Katsuya Murashima, they have first round buys. There's 6 young lions in this tournament, so you can't just do a regular, knockout bracket. So we have buys for Kato and Murashima, and then we'll have Masatori Yasuda against Tetsuya Matsumoto, and then we will have Daiki Nagai versus Zane J in the first round. And so the winners of those two matches will face Kato and Murashima. So that's what's going to happen there.
You got to wait 10 whole days to see the finale of this one.
Yeah. So the first and second rounds will be at Korakuen Hall. They're doing consecutive days at Korakuen Hall later this month. Of course, we're going to preview all this as these shows come up.
I don't think we have any shows to watch before next week's show. So we got plenty of shows to preview.
Exactly. We'll be previewing all that. And then it ends on February 1st, also in Korakuen Hall. So they're running Korakuen a lot. Everyone's running Korakuen a lot. There's a couple of Stardom shows, the Murray Gold show. Yeah, there's a lot of Korakuen Hall action in January. Usually the companies leave Tokyo for a while after the Kingdom and Dash time, just as everybody runs Tokyo that week, and then everybody leaves Tokyo for the rest of the month. This year everyone's staying in town for the most part. So all right, so that's the Young Lion Cup. Now our next show is not the Young Lion Cup. It is actually Blue Justice on January 18th. And this is, of course, the show that Yuji Nagata promotes in his hometown of Chiba. which is Tokyo adjacent. In fact, one of the Tokyo metro airports is in Chiba, so it's a train right away, about 40 minutes away from downtown Tokyo. Whatever downtown Tokyo is, there's just 5 downtowns in Tokyo. Have you ever, Jeremy? The size of that city is just staggering, isn't it?
It's massive in a way that you really are not prepared for once you get there.
Yeah, it just keeps going, and it's a
sprawl. It is an efficient sprawl.
It's incredibly efficient. It's amazing the way people get around it so easily. It's absolutely amazing. The Yamanote line, bless it. So this is his hometown show in Chiba. Blue Justice number 17. They're mostly preview tags, plus Unbound Company's first show as an official faction. And the main event will be Yuji Nagata, Aaron Wolf, Toru Yano, and Bolton against Evil, Ren Narita, Yujiro, and Dick Togo. So that'll be the main event there. So hopefully they're coming up with a couple of things that Wolf can do that'll look impressive while he continues to train to be a full-time wrestler. But he is working these Road 2 shows. January 19th in Korakuen, I mentioned the Young Lion Cup. We'll also be seeing Bishamon and Bolton challenge for the never open-weight 6-man titles against Zach Oiwa and Hartley Jackson. So that should be a terrific match. Really, if you look at this, 6 people involved. Hartley's first title defense. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we're also going to get that Taichi and Ishii versus Yuya and Shota match that should have a little bit of steam on them as well. I've got to make it the not insignificant card.
Yeah, and then on the 20th, Doki, that's junior heavyweight night on the 20th. So second night, we get the second round of the cup, but we also get Doki defending the junior heavyweight title against Despe.
Okay.
Eagles and Fujita will defend the junior tag team titles against Kanemaru and Sho. The other thing, by the way, Jeremy, I noticed part of Dash on the side, because we also have matches I want to mention for New Beginning in Osaka, but Bishamon and Bolton, Team 150. There are a couple of other groups that are not pairing up, but are trioing up, right? A group of 6-man tags. To me, that can get that championship out of that morass of House of Torture, where House of Torture was either the champion or the challenger over and over and over again in 2025, because they just seem to be out of ideas. Well, now they seem to be actually creating some 6-man tag alliances and a little variety, non-House of Torture specific. They can challenge once in a while. I don't have any problem with that. Some of those teams, some of those combinations would be quite good. But it's nice to have a little bit of fresh air where the idea of a Hontai team going after it, a couple of different Hontai teams going after it. And I like this. TMDK taking it seriously by having Zach and Hartley in there. This can be a dynamic championship that can be part of good cards. Maybe not, the consistent headlining type of title, but put it on good people like they did when it was Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii. Or when it was with, Ishii, when he was with Goto and Yoshihashi and things. Put it on good wrestlers having good matches, and people start caring about this thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. They have every opportunity to do something meaningful with these titles and not just use it as a prop for singles or tag titles, as they've done for the most part in the last couple of years. There's a lot of people on this roster, and there's a lot of mouths to feed, and they could kind of use it a little bit more thoughtfully.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that, again, cautious optimism. Let's see how they book. But cautious optimism in some of the directions they're taking coming out of this. We do have a couple of matches for New Beginning in Osaka. That's coming up in February. Aaron Wolf against Narita, I mentioned, for the never openweight title. I'm assuming Yota Tsuji has told Jake Lee, I'm not defending against you. I don't think that's going to last. I think Lee's going to fry his chops enough that he's going to have to put that title on the line there. They need a main event for Osaka. And then we're also going to get the Knockout Brothers versus the winner of that contenders match. So whether it's Taichi and Ishii or it's Umino and Uemura, we're going to see the winner of that match challenge KOB in Osaka.
Yeah, we might have some twists and turns with who challenges for what, where, but I think I'm generally agreeing with you on where everything's tracking.
Nick is asking, do we think someone will replace Sonata in House of Torture? The number 3 heavyweight in the faction leaving, especially domestic, is not insignificant. So sometimes I feel like there are enough people in House of Torture that they can get away with it. I don't know if they need to add a new member. What are your thoughts on this, Jeremy?
It's fine.
You think Fale will just be the number 3
you
guy?
got Ren, you got Evil, you got Fale. That's a thruple that you don't want to deal with as a top main eventer on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, Fale is the heavy, right? You don't have to do much with him, but he has that right spot. And for every single person they have, it's, the gatekeeper kind of thing. Aaron Wolf is eventually going to have to go through Fale. Bolton Oleg went through Fale. He went through Ren Narita. It's just kind of like Sonata wasn't even the number 3. He was the number 4 or number 5.
Especially once his injury really took hold.
Yeah, once Fale got there, they leaned on Fale way more than they needed. They leaned on Sonata.
Yeah, and Fale, of course, wasn't around for quite a long time, but he seems to be back in a big way now. So that'll, I think that could be it. It could be Fale. And Nick is saying that he fears that Jake will pin Tsuji on this tour.
He probably will.
Could be. I would suggest to New Japan have it be more post-match beatdowns rather than have your champion be pinned. I am going to advocate for being overprotective of Tsuji to make sure everyone knows he's.
Look, if Tsuji keeps doing stuff like slapping the shit out of Jake Lee the way he did on that match, and Jake Lee fell down because he was hit so hard, like, Yota Tsuji is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I still think just don't pin him much. If you're going to beat him, don't beat him much. Yeah. They need fans to believe in him. They need someone they can believe in. They've got to be able to do it. Even if he isn't just
will piss people off if
the
he
kid's
loses
baby face.
It'll piss people off if he loses the global title in a shitty way. But if he continues to win the IWGP matches dominantly, that will get him more over than holding any baby and smiling.
Yeah, and Brad mentioned there's some new Lions that debuted at New Year's Dash there from the Fale Dojo. And I don't think they've had a match yet, but they have they've been around. You saw them around ringside, Jeremy. There were a lot of bald heads that we haven't seen before in that area. So it looks like a couple of some more Tongans, some other guys from who knows where. I mean, Oscar went to New Zealand. That's how he and Ice met up. So he has people from all over the world there. So yeah, it's something that they're going to be doing. Yep. We'll probably be seeing some new ones. The other thing is that I wanted to mention that the last New Japan Young Lions Cup, Carl Fredericks won it. It had LA Dojo versus Noge Dojo kind of theme to it. And it was Shota Umino and Ren Narita's last young lion gasp before they went off on their excursions. Like Umino kind of left for England after that, and Narita ended up staying in LA, of course, and working on NJPW Strong and all that stuff with Shibata and blah blah blah. But it seems that Murashima and Shoma are ready to take the next step anyway. So I think it's one of those things where the two senior young lions will probably move on after this, and then maybe we can get some of these guys in the ring and move Matsumoto, who I think is really talented, up a little bit. Zane J, important to remember, Zane J worked for years before he joined the Noge Dojo. He was not starting from scratch the way a lot of guys do. Of course, he shaved his head, black chunks, and he seems to have bought into the whole system 100%, which is great. But he is further ahead than most just because he has just a lot more matches under his belt than a lot of young lions have before they join the system. So.
Yeah, I just kind of think Murashima is going to win this thing, and either he's going to go on excursion or one of these factions is going to bring him in. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those, like, what's the end game on this thing? I know at least one or two of them are ready, and as soon as they have like 2 or 3 of them ready, they're just going to bring 4 more in, and we're just going to be right back to like the cycle. So the circle of life continues unabated, and I'm here for it.
And Brad says, let's get moving on Nagai out of being a young lion. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a young lion a whole lot longer. I think he's more on the Fujita track where he's just going to hop into a faction and join up. Yep. And, the thing with Kato, I don't know. He has said over and over again he wants to go to Mexico. Doesn't mean he necessarily will. I don't know what the financials are on this. They haven't sent anybody on excursion since Ice and Oscar. So it might be time, though. Okamura's over there. There's another Japanese wrestler in CML whose name is not jumping into my head at the moment, but he's not a New Japan guy. He's from Japan, but he's not a dojo guy over there on excursion. Of course, mentioned Okamoto's always over there. He'll be over here for Fantastica Mania. So it's entirely possible that Shoma Kato, for instance, works that Fantastica Mania tour and then he and Okamura fly back to Mexico together.
I'm not ruling anything out. Like I said, 2026 is going to come at us fast. There are going to be things where we get notifications from this company, and it's like, oh, they're doing what? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's just going to be that kind of reactive year in which whatever ground that the company is laying, it is going to be on us to kind of translate it as it's happening, because all the safety nets, everything that they used to rely on, the wrestlers that they had, like, they're figuring out the new guys and they are taking chances. And some of the things that we're seeing with Shota and Yuya and Yota may seem like it's not being planned, but I also think that there is very much a sense from the companies like, no, we kind of know what we're doing, and we're just making sure that if we put this one guy against all these others, that the reaction is going to be what we think it's going to be. So Shota getting booed, maybe it has some there, maybe there's smoke to that fire. You know, you need a bad guy, and they don't have a bad guy of that generation right now.
All right. Well, let's see how it turns out. And of course, we will be right here week after week to let you know. I wanted to mention a couple other things I've watched this week, but the tail end here. I watched almost everything this week. I had such a good time. My Ginger was willing to be a wrestling widow for the weekend and realized that I was just going to be watching shows. So on the 3rd, by the way, I watched the Marigold pay-per-view.
Yes.
Oh, man, this is terrific. They really great show. Mayu Iwatani and Takumi Iroha is fantastic. If you have a Wrestle Universe subscription, this will drop on Wrestle Universe eventually. It was a pay-per-view, but Victoria Yuzuki and Shoko Kashino, Miku Ano, Mai Sakurai, terrific matches. Marigold really put together a good show. It was in Marigold's show was in Oda City Gym. They drew about 1,800, which is even with last year, but it's considered a bit of a victory for Marigold. Fewer guests than last year, Jeremy. This was more of a Marigold thing. And I remember talking about Marigold last year when we had Lyric Wrestling on. I said, 1 year ago, I said what Marigold needs to work on is developing that undercard or mid-card, because they had two types of wrestlers when that company was only a few months old last year. They either had people that were some of the best in the world or absolute green as grass. Like, there was middle ground. And over the last year, there's a middle ground. Some of those people have blossomed and grown in new roles. And now there's depth there besides the main event matches. And up and down the card, now there's talent, and there's ridiculous talent in the rookie class in Marigold and Stardom too, for that matter, by the way. They're both very, very bright futures for Marigold. I watched 3 All Japan shows over the course. They have their own streaming service right there. Kento Miyahara and Yuma Anzai was fantastic for the Triple Crown. And I don't know if you guys remember that Jun Saito and Go Shiozaki was really, really good. I don't know if you remember, Jeremy, but Odyssey Jones and Zion from NXT are over in All Japan now. Yeah, and they held the tag team titles for All Japan until they were recently beaten by Talos, who's a really tall wrestler. I believe he's either American or Canadian. And Ren Ayabe, they won that one. That was pretty decent.
Is he full of animal fat?
I don't know. That's a good. It sounds like he is. If not, then they're missing an opportunity. But I watched all 3 of those All Japan shows and enjoyed them.
Cool.
TJPW on the 4th. All right. The Princess of Princess title match to end the TJPW pay-per-view on the 4th, again on Wrestle Universe. This one's not a pay-per-view. You can just pull this up and watch this. Miyu Watanabe and Suzume. Freaking-tastic match. The final 3 matches, Mirai and Arisu Endo, and then Kazushino and Aino against Uehara and Kamifuku. I know that we don't get to TJPW too often on this one, the show anyway, just for time. But, man, the main event and the last 3 matches as a whole, but that main event blew my doors off. The TJPW just put on a terrific one. So there you go. And we talked a little bit about Dream Queendom and how great Saya Kamitani and Sayori did, Konami and Saya Ida, and then the Goddesses of Stardom tag team title match was terrific. There was a lot of really, really good wrestling last week. And I do want to ask before we go here, Jeremy, what did you think of DDT live and in person and for their big show in Korakuen Hall on the 3rd?
I mean, it was pretty gay, but like, that's what the promotion is, right? It's
Yeah.
just like you take one of the like the arm straps off and kind of your wrestling singlet and just kind of let your singlet hang a little bit, that kind of thing. Danshuko Dino,
letting their freak flag fly.
Yeah, Danshuko Dino. There was the spot with Takeshita going in his crotch, and look, I knew what DDT was when I came into it. I was really annoyed, and people were just like, "Oh no! Look at this is Takeshita coming in, and like this is what he's doing the night before the Wrestle Kingdom." Like, yeah, he's entertaining the fans of Japan. I don't know what to tell you. He's not here for you right now. With that said, the Schadenfreude match with Chris Brooks, Antonio Honda, and Takeshi Masada. That was fun. You know, the faction broke up after that because I think Takeshi Masada was his last match in the faction. And so they're like, yeah, we're just going to break up the faction. And then really, if there was anything worth a damn on the show that you wanted to watch for a work rate, it was the main event, which was the KOD six-man tag team title match. And it was, I'm going to read off the names here because I didn't know a damn thing about anyone in this match as I was watching it. It was 37 Kamina, which is Toy Y, and Yuki Ueno, and Kaisei Takechi. Kaisei Takechi was the member of Rampage, who was also part of the Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura team at Wrestle Kingdom. And they defeated Kazuma Sumi, Strange Love Connection of Kanon and Mao. We've seen Kanon and Mao in the past in New Japan. This was a fantastic match. Best kind of junior heavyweight kind of match that you could see all these guys working really, really hard. Great work, great chemistry with each other. And Kasai Takechi, if he ever commits to like just wrestling on his own, he's going to be a massive superstar. He is unbelievably talented, but I can imagine that the recording contract and the concert is probably easier on his body and makes more money.
He is a busy man. He's a busy man, but he loves wrestling. Clearly loves wrestling. And so again, and the Noah show. Jeremy Moore is asking about Noah show. The Noah show on the first, Jeremy attended it, and the main event was fine. The Naito match was awful.
The semi-main with Amakusa and Hiromu was the best match on the card by far. Everything else after the intermission existed solely on vibes. You know, the Naito match in person was not good, but the energy was there for that. The main event was a lot of stalling with the 15 minutes beforehand and then not much on the second half of that match. Everything kind of being predicated on the Team 2000X banner of trying to invade and take over the promotion was working really, really well until they lost in the main event. So that was kind of a hitch in their giddy up. The whole thing was fine. Good Brothers seemed to be working really, really hard because it's the only place that'll be paying them right now. That's basically the conclusion I came to. And, you know, I felt bad for Keno, who got jobbed out in the main event. I felt bad for Kato Kiyomiya because he's doing work to get other people over. And it was a fine show. And I thought everyone worked hard, but it was not anything special. You know,
the next GHC title defense, I believe, for Inamura is Kitamiya.
Yes.
And he's the guy that we said he and Ishii are long lost twins.
It's going to be a big meaty man match because Inamura is being booked as the Japanese Stan Hicks.
He might be the correct opponent for Inamura.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
He might be just right about it. Yeah, and so Nick says he got Wrestle Universe see Naito. Sounds like I need to give this Marigold show a shot. Haven't dipped my toe much into the Joshi world. I would recommend it. And here's the thing: you have that Wrestle Universe thing. It's like less than $10 US for a month. Watch that TJPW main event. You also get the DDT show with that 6-man main event that Jeremy said was fantastic. Wrestle Universe has a lot of really, really good stuff. There's some Sendai girls on there, but between Marigold, TJPW, you can catch the Noah stuff, DDT, Gabari. There's some marvelous stuff, although that's inconsistent. But just check it out and just kind of sample the different stuff. It's a good way to check out Marigold and TJPW, your introduction to Joshi. TJPW is an acquired taste, but their title matches they take very seriously, and they have excellent workers. And
any more
Nick says that the Noah show made may have been the most fine show he's seen yet. And USVA guy says he has Stardom tomorrow on the 11th, and the Risa Sarah retirement show on the 12th. You has recently retired. YUU, the one of the wrestlers for Sendai, and then Risa Sarah retiring. So we're losing a couple of legends, but I think that the future of Joshi, when you watch these shows, you realize is very bright. Cool. Okay, well, I think we covered everything, Gosh. That was a lot.
Packed it all in there, buddy. Got any more questions or comments to knock out?
No, that's fine. Just, you can always get to me if you need to. You can email me at ringsidereplay@gmail.com.
Speaking of strongstyle@gmail.com actually is a real email address.
It is a real
I've never told people that. I probably should. Speaking of strongstyle@gmail.com is real.
There you go. All right. So just want to say thanks for everybody who's joined us live. We will be back next week, and we will be previewing the upcoming action as the Road to New Beginning with Cautious Optimism gets underway. We're headed toward Blue Justice. So again, if you're listening to us later as a podcast or here on YouTube, thank you for everyone who joined us here live. Really appreciate you. Love the interaction. For Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway. This has been Speaking of Strong Style, and we'll talk to you again real soon.